In a world where green once danced in the wind and the sky wore shades of blue, the landscape had transformed into an unforgiving wasteland. The sun hung low and angry, casting long shadows across the cracked earth. Dust choked the air, mingling with the stale scent of despair. Yet, in this grim setting, laughter still found a way to echo, albeit in the most unexpected places. Jack Thompson, a 30-something everyman with a scruffy beard and a knack for one-liners, surveyed the barren horizon with a mix of resignation and humor. He rummaged through the remnants of what used to be a bustling supermarket, now a hollow shell filled with memories and empty cans. Today, he was on a mission to find something edible that didn't resemble the bottom of a dumpster. Just think, in a few years, this place will be an archaeological dig, he muttered, holding up a can of what might have been peas. Or could it be a time capsule of the 21st century? He decided it was best not to check. With a deft flick of his wrist, Jack cracked open the can. The sound was music to his ears, like a symphony of hope. Just as he was about to dig in, a gang of survivalists, muscular, grim-faced, and clad in makeshift armor, descended upon him like a pack of hungry wolves. They shouted things about resources and stronger survivors. "Oh great," Jack quipped, "I always wanted to be a human buffet." Before he could run, one of the survivalists lunged at him. In a panicked twist, Jack dropped the can, and it rolled away, coming to a stop right in front of a scraggly dog that had been observing the whole fiasco. With a joyous bark, the dog devoured the peas, much to Jack's relief. The survivalists paused, bewildered by the unexpected canine intervention. "Nice move, Fido," Jack yelled as he took advantage of the distraction to bolt away. The survivalists cursed at the dog, who seemed to take offense and growled, effectively securing Jack's getaway. As he sprinted down the dusty street, Jack couldn't help but laugh. "Who knew I'd need a dog to save my life? I should have brought treats." Once he was safely hidden in the shadows of a dilapidated building, Jack leaned against the wall, catching his breath. That was close. He knew he couldn't keep living like this. He had a family to protect, his wife, Lily, and their spirited daughter, Mia, who had dreams bigger than this desolate world allowed. Rumors had reached him about a brutal competition called the Desolation Game. It was a survival contest, a twisted reality show where participants battled through a series of lethal challenges for a chance at resources, food, water, and even safety for their families. Jack felt a surge of determination. If he could just enter the game, maybe he could find a way to save Lily and Mia. He made his way to the makeshift arena, a sprawling expanse filled with makeshift tents and a crowd of mismatched survivors. The atmosphere buzzed with a chaotic energy, both frightening and exhilarating. As he registered, Jack couldn't help but notice the eclectic mix of contestants, a former cheerleader who had traded pom-poms for knives, and a conspiracy theorist with a tinfoil hat who claimed the game was an alien experiment. "Welcome to the Desolation Game," the announcer boomed, a man in a tattered suit who looked like he had stepped out of a bad sci-fi flick. "Where only the strongest survive. And remember, laughter is your best weapon." Jack chuckled, hoping the guy was right. The first challenge, dubbed the Great Scavenger Hunt, sent the contestants racing into a dilapidated shopping mall. It was riddled with traps, swinging pendulums made of rusted metal, tripwires that triggered noisemakers, and a delightful pit of quicksand. The contestants darted about, and Jack felt like he was in a slapstick comedy. "Collect rare items," the announcer had declared. "First one to find 3 wins immunity." Jack quickly realized the absurdity of the task. Contestants were diving into the rubble, unearthing bizarre relics, a VHS tape of an old sitcom, a collection of ceramic cats, and a poster of a long-forgotten boy band. Jack himself found a signed photo of an extinct celebrity. "What am I supposed to do with this?" he exclaimed, holding it up for everyone to see. As he continued searching, he stumbled upon a rubber chicken, which he instinctively picked up. In a moment of inspiration, Jack decided to use it as a distraction. He flung the rubber chicken into a group of contestants, who stopped mid-search to watch it bounce awkwardly. Laughter erupted, breaking the tension. With a mix of luck and humor, Jack managed to collect 3 ridiculous items just as the timer buzzed. He emerged victorious, albeit with a collection that would embarrass any flea market vendor. As the game progressed, the challenges grew increasingly absurd. The next round, the obstacle course of doom, was a parody of every obstacle course Jack had ever seen. Inflatable boulders tumbled down at random intervals, and fake lava flowed like a lava lamp. Jack's strategy involved using his wit to distract the competition. "Hey, does anyone know if inflatable boulders count as cardio?" he yelled as he dove under a flailing inflatable arm. Contestants paused, caught between confusion and laughter, allowing Jack to navigate the course with unexpected ease. By the time he reached the end, Jack had become something of a minor celebrity among the other contestants. They began to rely on his humor as a source of motivation. "If we can't laugh while we're getting chased by inflatable boulders, what's the point?" he quipped, panting and smiling as he crossed the finish line. However, the final showdown would prove to be the most challenging yet. Contestants faced off in a trivia battle, a bizarre mix of pop culture and survival skills. Questions ranged from, "What was the name of the boy band that dissolved in 2002?" to, "What's the best way to purify water?" Jack was abysmal at survival trivia but surprisingly adept at pop culture. He dazzled the audience with his answers, even cracking jokes about his lack of practical knowledge. "If I ever find myself in a survival situation, I'll just have to make sure I'm near a blockbuster," he quipped. But just as he began to think he might actually win, a twist sent everything spiraling. The game's organizer, a ruthless figure known only as the Overseer, revealed his identity to be none other than a former co-worker of Jack's, someone Jack had once unwittingly insulted at a corporate retreat. "Surprise, Jack. I always knew you were too soft for this world." The Overseer sneered, sending a wave of panic through Jack. In that moment, fueled by a mix of embarrassment and resolve, Jack realized he had to turn this disaster around. He rallied the contestants, channeling their collective anger into a plan to sabotage the game. "If we're going down, let's do it with a bang," he declared, earning cheers from the crowd. What followed was pure chaos. Using leftover props from previous challenges, rubber chickens, inflatable boulders, and random relics, they set up elaborate traps to confuse the organizers. Laughter erupted as contestants tripped over their own feet, dodged flying rubber chickens, and even managed to outsmart the heavily armed survivalists who had been controlling the game. In the end, the tide turned. As Jack and the contestants overwhelmed the Overseer, they broadcast their rebellion live to the audience. Jack's humor became their weapon, his one-liners punctuating every moment of absurdity. Remember folks, laughter is contagious. And so is rebellion. With their unity and determination, they exposed the corruption behind the Desolation game, gaining public support and sympathy. The survivalists, now facing a public outcry, began to retreat. Jack found himself celebrated, not just as a contestant, but as a symbol of hope. Once the dust settled, Jack returned to his family, his heart full of relief and love. He embraced Lily and Mia, who had been anxiously awaiting news. They were safe, and together they could begin to rebuild. Jack knew the world was still bleak, but as he looked into their eyes, he felt a flicker of hope. In the aftermath, Jack became a local legend, known not just for his survival, but for his unyielding spirit and humor. As they sat around their meager dinner, a mix of scavenged goods and a few surprisingly edible items from their garden, Jack recounted his adventure with all the flair of a stand-up comedian. And then, I threw a rubber chicken at the overseer's head. It was the best moment of my life. Mia squealed with laughter, and even Lily chuckled, shaking her head in disbelief. Jack realized then that while the world outside was still a wasteland, inside their home, laughter could bloom like wildflowers. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over their makeshift sanctuary, he vowed to keep the laughter alive. In this broken world, Jack understood that sometimes, the best way to survive was to find the humor in the chaos. And who knew? Maybe one day, they would look back on this and laugh even harder. Just remember, no matter how dire things get, if we can laugh at it, we can survive it, he said, raising a glass of muddy water. To family, laughter, and rubber chickens. And as they clinked their glasses, hope filled the air, stronger than any despair this world could throw at them. Jack had learned that survival was about more than just living, it was about thriving through laughter, resilience, and love. As the days turned into weeks, Jack embraced his newfound role as a local hero. News of the Desolation game spread like wildfire, inspiring others in the community to band together in their own fight for survival. Jack often found himself in the makeshift town square, regaling crowds with tales of inflatable boulders and rubber chicken escapades. His humor, once a mere coping mechanism, had become a beacon of hope. One afternoon, as the sun dipped low in the sky, Jack sat on a makeshift stage, a rickety wooden platform cobbled together from scavenged materials. A crowd of survivors gathered around, their faces a mix of skepticism and amusement. He cleared his throat, adjusting a crumpled baseball cap that had once belonged to a long-gone neighbor. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first annual Desolation Comedy Hour, where the punchlines are as unexpected as the apocalypse. He grinned, and laughter rippled through the crowd. Jack launched into his routine, weaving in tales of the survivalists, the absurd challenges, and the antics of his fellow contestants. He exaggerated their quirks, turning fear into laughter. And then there was Barry, who thought he could outsmart the lava lamp obstacle by just hopping over it like it was a kiddie pool. Let me tell you, Barry learned the hard way that lava is not just a decoration. As the laughter echoed, Jack noticed a familiar face in the crowd, Lily, with Mia perched on her hip. Their smiles warmed him more than the fading sun. After the show, Lily approached, her eyes sparkling. "You really have a gift, you know," she said, her tone light but sincere. "You're bringing people together." "I'm just trying to keep spirits up," Jack replied, shrugging off the compliment. "Besides, if we can't laugh at this mess, what's the point? I mean, have you seen the fashion trends around here?" He gestured to a man wearing mismatched pieces of camouflage gear, and they both chuckled. Mia ran up, her cheeks flushed with excitement. "Daddy, can I tell a joke?" "Of course. The stage is yours." Jack beamed, motioning for her to take the spotlight. Mia stood tall, mimicking her dad's stance, and declared, "Why did the chicken cross the road?" Jack chimed in, "To get to the other side?" "No. To find the rubber chicken," she announced, cracking up the crowd. Jack joined in the laughter, pride swelling in his chest. After the performance, the family headed home. The atmosphere was lighter than it had been in ages. They walked through the makeshift community, greeting neighbors who waved and smiled. It was a small, makeshift world filled with remnants of the old life, but it thrummed with new energy. As they reached their shelter, a humble structure pieced together from scraps, Jack noticed something unusual. A group of children had gathered around a small table outside, their faces scrunched in concentration. "What's going on here?" Jack asked, kneeling to get a better look. The kids were working on a project, a makeshift board game, crafted from cardboard and old bottle caps. "We're making our own desolation game," one of the older kids declared, puffing out his chest with pride. Jack's heart warmed at the sight. "Can I play?" The children looked at him, then back at the game. "Yeah. But you have to be careful, it's a dangerous world out there." "Dangerous, you say?" "I thrive in danger," Jack replied, pretending to adjust an imaginary cape. He joined in, rolling bottle caps like dice and dramatically narrating their adventures. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an orange hue across the sky, the laughter of children filled the air, mingling with Jack's own. It was a beautiful reminder that even in the worst circumstances, joy could be found. The next few days passed in a blur of community building, laughter, and improvised games. Jack found himself becoming more involved in the local council meetings, brainstorming ways to share resources and foster a sense of unity among the survivors. They were all in this together, after all, and the bonds they forged could be as strong as any fortress. One evening, while discussing potential gardens to cultivate, a newcomer arrived. Dressed in dusty clothes and looking worn, the woman introduced herself as Ella. Her face held stories of hardship, but there was also a spark of determination in her eyes. "Can I help?" she asked, her voice steady despite the exhaustion that clung to her. "Absolutely," Jack replied, immediately warming to her spirit. "We could always use another pair of hands." Over the following weeks, Ella integrated herself into the community. She brought with her knowledge of foraging and a knack for improvising meals from the oddest combinations of scavenged goods. Her resilience inspired others to contribute their skills, too, repairing roofs, building new shelters, or simply sharing stories around a fire. One day, while the children played their improvised board game nearby, Jack and Ella worked together on a small garden plot. "You know," Jack said, wiping sweat from his brow, "I never thought I'd be cultivating vegetables in the apocalypse. I was more of a takeout kind of guy." Ella chuckled, a sound that was warm and infectious. "We're all adjusting. It's all about survival. Plus, fresh veggies are hard to come by these days." As the weeks turned to months, their little community thrived, despite the challenges of their environment. Jack had become a voice of encouragement, reminding everyone that laughter was a vital resource, just as important as food or water. Then came the day of the Great Harvest Festival, a celebration to honor their progress and the bonds they had formed. The town square buzzed with excitement, and everyone contributed what they could: dishes made from the community garden, makeshift decorations crafted from scraps, and plenty of laughter. Jack stood on the same makeshift stage where he had first performed, surveying the crowd with a sense of pride. "Welcome, everyone. We've come a long way since the days of scavenging for survival. Today, we celebrate what we've built together." The crowd cheered, and Jack felt the warmth of unity wrap around him like a blanket. As the festivities began, he invited others to share their stories, triumphs, failures, and everything in between. Laughter erupted as tales were shared, each one more ridiculous than the last. One survivor recounted how a misadventure with a wild goat had left him stuck in a tree for hours. Jack had never heard such a tale and couldn't help but laugh. As the sun set, painting the sky with vibrant hues, Jack looked around at the smiling faces, the children, the families, the new friends. They were all different, each with their own story, yet they were woven together in this tapestry of survival. In that moment, Jack realized that the world outside might still be a wasteland, but within this community, they had created a paradise of hope and laughter. It wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. After the festival wound down, the families began to head home, their spirits high. Jack and Lily lingered a moment longer, watching Mia play with the other children. "I can't believe how far we've come," Lily said, resting her head on Jack's shoulder. "Me neither," Jack replied. "It's like a comedy show with the best cast." "Just don't let it go to your head," Lily teased, nudging him playfully. As they walked home, hand in hand, Jack felt a sense of peace wash over him. They had found a way to not just survive, but to thrive, to laugh, and to love even when the world felt like it was falling apart. In this new reality, Jack understood that resilience wasn't just about enduring, it was about embracing life, with all its absurdities. And as long as he had his family by his side, he knew they could face anything. Days turned into weeks, and their community continued to grow stronger. Ella and Jack forged a deep friendship, each bringing out the best in the other. They worked together, planting gardens and developing new strategies for living sustainably. The spirit of cooperation flourished as people discovered that collaboration led to a richer, fuller life. Then came the day that changed everything. News arrived from a distant settlement. There were whispers of a potential alliance, a way to share resources and knowledge among communities. It was a beacon of hope, a chance to build something even bigger. An alliance could mean we finally get a steady supply of food and maybe even some tools, Ella said, her eyes shining with excitement. Jack nodded, heart racing at the possibilities. "We have to explore this. It's not just about us anymore. It's about expanding our community." After a heated discussion in the town square, they decided to send a small delegation, including Jack and Ella, to explore this opportunity. "Just think of it," Jack exclaimed during the meeting. "Imagine, trade routes, new recipes, and maybe even an actual grocery store." The townsfolk laughed, the familiar sound ringing out. It was a reminder that even in discussions about survival, laughter was essential. As they prepared for the journey, Jack couldn't shake the feeling of anticipation mixed with nervousness. They would be venturing into unknown territory. "Stay close to me," he told Ella as they set out, their hearts filled with a mix of hope and apprehension. The journey took them through the desolate landscape, now familiar yet still daunting. They shared stories along the way, keeping spirits high. "If we run into any survivalists, I'm just going to throw my rubber chicken at them," Jack joked, eliciting a laugh from Ella. After a day of travel, they arrived at the settlement, a cluster of makeshift buildings that felt more vibrant than any place they had seen in ages. The air buzzed with activity, and the people were busy setting up stalls, trading goods, and laughing together. A representative from the settlement welcomed them, a woman named Tara with a friendly smile and an aura of confidence. "We've heard about your community," she said, her tone warm. "Your reputation precedes you. It seems you're doing amazing things over there." Jack felt a swell of pride. "We're just trying to survive and, throw the occasional comedy show." Tara chuckled, and the ease between them quickly bridged the gap. The delegation spent hours discussing potential trade agreements, sharing knowledge about gardening techniques, and exchanging recipes. As the sun set, casting a golden light over the settlement, Jack felt a sense of camaraderie develop. This was more than just a chance for survival, it was the beginning of something transformative. "Let's not just survive," he proposed as they wrapped up their discussions. "Let's thrive together." The room erupted into applause, and Jack realized he had found another family among these strangers. Upon returning home, Jack couldn't contain his excitement. "You won't believe it. We're forming an alliance. It's going to change everything," he announced to Lily and Mia. Lily's eyes widened, a smile spreading across her face. "This is incredible, Jack. It's like we're not just surviving anymore, we're building a future." Mia bounced up and down. "Can we have more vegetables? And dessert too?" Jack laughed, ruffling her hair. "I think that can be arranged. In fact, we might even get a pie recipe out of this." As the weeks rolled on, the alliance flourished. Trading became a lifeline, and with it came a sense of hope that permeated the air. New faces began to appear in their community, each one bringing unique skills and stories. With every new relationship forged, Jack felt the world expanding. He no longer saw the desolation as a prison but as a canvas to be painted with laughter, resilience, and unity. One night, under a sky filled with stars, Jack gathered the community for a celebration. "Tonight, we celebrate not just our survival, but our thriving." Together, he declared. The crowd erupted in cheers as they shared food and stories, laughter echoing under the stars. Jack felt a deep sense of fulfillment, the kind that comes from knowing they had transformed their reality into something beautiful. In the midst of it all, Jack noticed a little girl approaching with a wide smile and a curious expression. "Can I tell a joke?" she asked, her eyes bright. "Of course. The stage is yours," he encouraged, stepping aside to let her shine. "Why did the rubber chicken cross the road?" she asked, her voice rising with anticipation. Jack grinned, knowing what was coming. "To find a better punchline?" "No. To help Daddy," she giggled, and the crowd burst into laughter. As the laughter rang out, Jack knew they had found their way, not just through survival but through the power of community and joy. Days turned into months, and life continued to blossom in their little corner of the world. Jack often reflected on how far they had come, from the initial chaos of the Desolation game to the vibrant community they had built together. With every sunset, Jack felt a deep gratitude for the laughter, the friendships, and the love that surrounded him. They were not just survivors, they were creators of a new life, filled with possibility and hope. And as long as they had each other, Jack knew they could face whatever the future held, together. As seasons changed and the landscape slowly transformed, so did the people. The laughter that echoed through the air was a reminder that even amidst the wreckage of the old world, they had built something beautiful. And that was a story worth telling, time and time again. In the quiet moments before bed, Jack would often sit with Lily and Mia, sharing stories of the day. "You know," he'd say with a grin, "if we ever get famous for all this, I'm definitely writing a book. And I'll make sure the rubber chicken gets a chapter." Mia would giggle, and Lily would roll her eyes with a smile. "Just make sure to put in a section about the goat," Lily would tease, and they'd all laugh together, the warmth of family filling their hearts. Life continued to unfold in unexpected and delightful ways. Jack often marveled at the resilience of the human spirit. They had transformed their world through laughter, love, and unity, turning a desolate existence into a tapestry of shared stories and hope. And so, as Jack looked to the horizon, he knew they were just getting started. The future was bright, and it was theirs to shape, one laugh at a time. With that thought, Jack drifted off to sleep, the echoes of laughter dancing in his dreams, a reminder that even in the darkest times, joy would always find a way to shine through. And that was how they would continue to survive, thrive, and laugh their way into a brighter tomorrow.